Hey everyone, welcome back to TroutTakes, where we keep you in the loop on everything theme parks. Today we're going to talk about a question that even the mere thought of it being asked would be incomprehensible to some and probably blasphemous to others. Should you skip out on Disney on your next vacation to Central Florida? Now hold on, before you click the back button and leave a bunch of 4-letter words down in the comments, just hear me out for a second. I know, how dare I suggest such a thing, right? Well, if you stick around to the end of the video, you're hopefully going to see that maybe it's not that crazy of an idea, as Central Florida has a lot more to offer than just Disney. And Disney has changed a lot even since the pandemic, so it's most likely completely different than how you remember it. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the Disney parks, and they're some of my favorite places to be in the whole world. But sometimes even super fans like me might just need a bit of a break from the all too familiar Disney experience. Here are my top 5 reasons you just might want to skip Disney during your next visit to Central Florida. Number 5, mouse ear burnout. What do I mean by mouse ear burnout? Well, it's the phrase I like to use when you feel that Disney has become a bit monotonous. You've been there, you've done that, you've bought the t-shirt. You've been a frequent loyal visitor to Disney every year over the past 20 years, and you know the ins and outs of the parks like the back of your hand. But after a while, it just starts feeling like you're taking the same vacation over and over again. It can become sort of like your favorite movie. You can quote every line and know the whole movie by heart, but there's a reason you don't watch it all the time. It would simply ruin the specialness, for lack of a better word, of the movie. I double-checked, and specialness is an actual word, so we're good to go on that. I mean, heck, my favorite food off the top of my head is probably pizza, but there's a reason I don't eat it every single day, because 1, obviously it wouldn't be the greatest for my health mainly, but 2, I'm sure I'd start to get tired of it, and the favoriteness would most likely wear off after a while. Now, I'm not saying that Disney will become stale for everybody by any means. I'm sure there are some of you that simply can't fathom not going to Disney when you're right there in Orlando. And it's something I'm currently struggling with since I'm going to be heading down to Orlando at the end of April next month, staying at Universal. And I won't be visiting any Disney parks, although we might carve out a little bit of time to go to Disney Springs, at least. But the point is, there is a whole world to explore outside of the Disney bubble, and I'm just suggesting that you may want to experience something a little different just to keep things fresh. And if you skip out, chances are your next Disney trip will seem even more special because you had a little bit extra time away. Number 4, crowds. Obviously, I'm not reinventing the wheel here when I tell you that Disney is going to be crowded. But it seems that the crowds have stayed consistently higher than usual over the past 6 months or so. Now, a lot of it has to do with the 50th anniversary celebration, and I'm sure a lot of it definitely has to do with people now feeling like it's okay to travel and they can take that vacation that they had to hold off on due to the pandemic. Not saying that the virus isn't still out there, but it seems like we have a much better grip on the situation compared to 2 years ago. For example, I was at Hollywood Studios on the Tuesday after Thanksgiving this past year, and it was noticeably busier than even the week of Thanksgiving back in 2019. Areas were physically more densely populated, and standby wait times were a lot longer. People are coming out in droves, and you can tell just by walking down Hollywood Boulevard or Main Street USA in Magic Kingdom on any given day. So if you're still a little unsure about the virus and being around huge crowds of people, or you're just uncomfortable feeling packed in like a sardine, you may want to skip out this next time around on Disney. Number 3, Disney keeps getting more complicated. From the addition of Genie Plus, individual lightning lane selections, the park reservation system, changes in park hopper guidelines, not to mention navigating the different forms of transportation on property, Disney has become a lot more complicated over the past few years, and there are way more moving parts that go along with having what I'd call an optimal vacation. Long gone are the days where you can plan ahead and book your Fast Pass Plus 60 days in advance. Disney has made it so you have to essentially plan your park day the very morning of your park visit for that day, with the exception of advanced dining reservations, which can still be made. You better be on the My Disney Experience app right at 7 a.m. to book your Slinky Dog Dash Lightning Lane, or else you may just miss out even sleeping in an extra 30 minutes. Oh, and if you buy a park hopper ticket, you can't hop to the other park until 2 p.m. and only after you've actually scanned in your park ticket to the park you had reserved for the day. Confused yet? Let me try to explain it better. So let's say you made your park reservation for EPCOT and then planned to park hop over to Hollywood Studios for the evening. Now, you know you can't park hop until 2 p.m., which is fine with you. In fact, your kids woke up this morning and threw a fit because they didn't want to go to EPCOT, but wanted a pool day instead. Okay, no big deal, you say. You just won't go to EPCOT during the day and you still have the evening to go to Hollywood Studios, right? Well, no. In fact, you won't be able to get into Hollywood Studios at all since you didn't reserve that as your park for the day. You'd still have to go to EPCOT, scan into the park. Only then would you be able to hop on over to Hollywood Studios. Crazy, I know, but true. It's sort of a weird combination how Disney has made planning a trip in that there are more things to know ahead of time before you take your vacation, but fewer things you can actually take action on ahead of time. Other parks close to Disney, like Universal Orlando, for example, are way more straightforward when it comes to planning and truly takes the hassle out of the whole process, especially compared to Disney. So if you're looking for simplicity and convenience during your next Disney vacation, you're probably looking in the wrong place. Now, I'm not saying this should stop you from visiting by any means, but it's just something to keep in mind and a reason you may want to skip it. Number 2, the increasing costs with fewer perks. Like, I don't even think I'm exaggerating here, guys, but I'm pretty sure Disney literally raised the price on everything this year, from park tickets, food, lodging, transportation, and of course, Genie Plus. The company has operated very unapologetically when it comes to raising prices, but they've also taken away a lot of perks that were once complimentary, such as Fast Pass Plus and extra magic hours for Disney Resort guests. Now, don't get me wrong, you do get a half hour of early park entry if you're staying at a Disney resort, but only the deluxe resorts and villas are now getting extended evening hours, which last a lot longer than just that extra 30 minutes in the morning. So you're either forced to spend more to get the ideal experience or you miss out. They're giving you less and charging you more for it. And I get it, they're trying to make up for the losses from the pandemic, or at least that's their reasoning, which almost implies that the prices are only raised for now until they make up for the losses. Then they'll drop back down. But we all know that the prices will only keep rising because, let's be honest, people will always be there willing to pay for it. I'm guilty of it, but it comes to the point where if you do a little comparison of what other parks are doing, like Universal again, for example, that you can get such a better value with comparable, some would argue even better theming and an overall park experience. Let's stick with Universal as an example here and compare some pricing. At Disney, a 4-day adult park hopper ticket for the week that I'm going to be down there in April is $554.75 before tax. Now, earlier in April, it would be even more expensive since ticket prices differ depending on the day or how busy the parks are projected to be. At Universal, you can get a park-to-park seasonal pass, which is their lowest tiered annual pass, for only $399.99 before tax. To be fair, Universal did raise their annual pass prices just last month, and I was able to get my seasonal pass back in November for $349.99, but it's still such a great value. And I can go whenever I want with the exception of a few blockout dates. Now let's compare lodging. For my Universal trip, I'm staying at their super value Endless Summer Dockside Hotel, which is their cheapest and newest hotel on property, for about $95 per night. Now over at Disney, one of their cheapest value resorts is the All-Star Movies Resort. The cheapest listed price, which I'm not even sure what day of the year the price coincides with, but it's $145.25 per night at the very cheapest. Now, the cheapest room I could find at that hotel in September, when I'm planning on being down there again, is $183.50 for a preferred room at the hotel, since the standard room isn't even available for booking, apparently. Overall, that's almost a $90 difference per night just in lodging alone. So to sum it up, when you start looking at the cost of Disney, especially to other vacation experiences, you're going to pay significantly more money. Yet another reason why you may want to skip out on your next trip to Central Florida. And we made it all the way to the number one reason you may want to skip out on Disney during your next Central Florida vacation, and that is the other amazing parks nearby, especially for thrill seekers. Contrary to what you might think, I made this video not as an anti-Disney video. Let me repeat that. This is not an anti-Disney video, but it is more of a pro other parks video. So if you're a thrill seeker and coaster enthusiast like I am, Disney might be a little too tame for what you would consider thrill rides. But don't worry, Central Florida has you covered for coasters. You have so many world-class coasters all within an hour or so of Walt Disney World. First off, there's SeaWorld Orlando with their 3 B&M coasters, which are Kraken, a B&M floorless coaster, Manta, a B&M flying coaster, and Mako, known as one of the best B&M hyper coasters out there. They also just opened their new multi-launch coaster, Icebreaker, last month, which looks like it packs a nice little punch. Pair these coasters with all of the aquatic life throughout the park, and you truly have a great theme park destination in its own right. Now, if you want a larger selection of thrills, you only have to travel about an hour west, where you'll find one of the very best coaster collections in the entire world, Busch Gardens Tampa. Busch Gardens Tampa hosts a total of 10 coasters, including the brand new Iron Gwazi, which many enthusiasts have as their new number one and are calling it the best coaster in the entire world. I can't say I've ever been to Busch Gardens, but I'm definitely going to pay the park a visit when I'm down for my trip in September. I can't wait to ride Iron Gwazi and see if it beats out my current champ, Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. Now, speaking of my top coasters in the world, let's head back to Orlando and head over to Universal Orlando Resort, where at Islands of Adventure, they have my second favorite coaster in the entire world, VelociCoaster. Just to put how good this one is in perspective, my wife rode it with me all 8 times during our last trip back in November/December. And she usually doesn't like coasters at all and generally thinks anything bigger than Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is too scary. It just goes to show you how universally loved, see what I did there? That the coaster is. So not only do you have VelociCoaster, but Diagon Alley over at Universal Studios Florida has to be, in my humble opinion, the absolute most well-themed area in any theme park in the world, and many others feel the same. If you think Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is the pinnacle of theming, you really haven't seen anything like Diagon Alley. I'm not even a big Harry Potter fan, but I can acknowledge how immersive it is. Throw in Hogsmeade and Hogwarts Castle over at Islands of Adventure, and you have an absolutely must-visit destination for any true Harry Potter fan out there. And the best part is, you can ride the Hogwarts Express to go back and forth between both Universal parks. Seriously, as I mentioned earlier, Universal has truly stepped up their game in the theming department to where they are really a legitimate competitor and rival to Disney, and they're even opening a new 3rd theme park, Universal's Epic Universe, in 2025. You can really tell that just by being in the parks that they're highly focused on giving you the best guest experience as possible and aren't always trying to nickel and dime you at every corner. where Disney arguably has essentially taken nickel and diming to a whole new level we simply haven't seen previously. Simply put, I'd argue that Universal Orlando is the can't miss resort in Central Florida right now, as you get a better guest experience and a much better overall value compared to what you get at Disney currently. I mean, less hassle, more affordable, and more fun all sound like a good start to an awesome vacation, am I right? So as you can see, there's a ton to do in Central Florida other than Disney. Between Universal, SeaWorld Orlando, and Busch Gardens Tampa, you have a pretty jam-packed vacation without even throwing Disney into the conversation. And you can do it all for a lot less hassle, it's more affordable, and I'd even argue it's simply more fun, which are, of course, all awesome reasons you might want to skip out on Disney altogether. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's video, guys. Let me know down in the comments if you think I'm off my rocker or if you agree with anything I've said here. As always, please hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed the video and subscribe to the channel if you're looking for more theme park content, news, tips, tricks, and adventures. I've been Mike with TroutTakes, and we'll see you guys soon.